Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are tackling something that I think every single person listening has dealt with, probably in the last 24 hours. In fact, I would bet money on it.
I would venture to say in the last 24 minutes, honestly.
Fair point. Okay, so I want to start with a scenario. I want you to picture this. You wake up on, say, a Tuesday morning, the alarm goes off, and you are just on.
Firing on all cylinders.
Totally. You hit the gym, maybe you meditate for 20 minutes, you clear your entire inbox before 9:00 a.m., you feel light, clear, productive. You're basically a floating orb of pure efficiency. That's your Tuesday.
That's the dream state, that flow state we all crave.
Exactly. A great day. But then Wednesday happens. You wake up and your brain is just vibrating. You're frantic. You have like 17 tabs open in your mental browser. You're snapping at your partner because the coffee is brewing too slowly. You're moving. You're busy, but you feel like you're running on a treadmill that's set just a little too fast.
The hustle, the grind, that feeling of being constantly behind no matter what you do.
The hustle, exactly. And then Thursday comes around and you just can't get out of bed. The alarm sounds like a personal insult.
Yeah.
Your brain is just fog. You stare at a spreadsheet for an hour and realize you haven't typed a single number. All you want to do is crawl under a blanket and, I don't know, eat carbohydrates.
And the question we usually ask ourselves in that moment is, what is wrong with me?
Right. Am I three different people? Is my brain broken? Why does my internal weather change so drastically without my permission?
It is the universal human experience.
No.
And to understand it today, we're not going to look at, modern psychology. We're going to look at a framework that is thousands of years old.
We are diving back into the Bhagavad Gita, specifically Chapter 14.
Chapter 14, which
Wow.
is titled Gunatraya Vivagga Yoga. And that translates roughly to the yoga of understanding the three modes of material nature.
Now, I know modes of material nature sounds a bit academic, a little abstract, but when I was reading through these sources, I realized this is basically an ancient personality test.
It is.
But it's more than a test. It's like finding the source code for human behavior.
That's a great way to put it. It's a psychological and a spiritual framework. The central idea here is that everything you see, everything you feel, and everything you are, at least in terms of your mind and body, is being operated by three invisible forces. And these are called the Gunas.
The Gunas.
Yes. And the mission of this deep dive is to decode them, to really understand what they are, how they control us, and ultimately, and this is the big promise of the chapter, how to break free from them.
I love that. So we aren't just analyzing the problem, we're actually looking for the exit strategy.
Precisely. And the stakes are, well, they're incredibly high. The chapter opens, verses 1 and 2, with the Lord telling Arjuna that this isn't just some casual advice. He calls it supreme knowledge.
Supreme knowledge. That's a pretty big claim.
It is. He says that by understanding this, the great sages attain perfection. They attained what's called moksha, or liberation. The text says that if you get this right, if you really truly understand these forces, you are not born again at the time of creation, and you are not disturbed at the time of dissolution. You get to a state called sadharmya.
Sadharmya. Okay, unpack that for me.
It means qualitatively becoming like the divine. It means you are free from the misery that plagues, well, pretty much everyone else. You actually step out of the cycle.
Okay, so this is the red pill. This is looking behind the curtain to see how the matrix is actually built.
That is a very, very apt analogy. Once you see the code, you realize that the stress you feel isn't really you, it's just code executing.
Yeah.
And that realization, that's what breaks the bond.
So let's start at the beginning then. Where do these forces even come from? Are they just, random biological glitches?
No, not at all. They're fundamental to creation itself. In verses 3 and 4, we get this incredible cosmic origin story. It describes a sort of metaphysical biology.
Yeah, the text talks about a father and a mother.
Right. The Lord describes himself as the father who plants the seed. And the mother is great nature, or Mahabrahma. But the source material is very specific here. This isn't just Mother Nature in the sense of, trees and rivers.
Right. The commentary I read identifies the mother as the goddess Mahalakshmi.
Correct. The sentient governing force of nature. So the idea is that the Lord places the embryo of life into this vast sentient nature. And from that union, all living beings are born. So everything from a blade of grass to a human to a celestial being, we all come from this same cosmic parentage.
So we have the seed, which is the soul or the life force, and it's placed into this womb of nature. And nature isn't just a passive container, it's made of stuff.
Exactly. And that stuff is the three gunas. The word guna itself is fascinating. It translates to quality or attribute, but it also literally means rope or fetter.
A rope, as in something that ties you up.
Yes. Verses 5 through 8 explain this perfectly. Imagine the soul. The Jivatma is infinite. It's imperishable. It's full of knowledge. But the moment it enters a body, it gets tied down. It gets bound to the physical experience. And the ropes that bind it are these three qualities: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas.
So we are these infinite beings tied to a finite experience by these three ropes. Okay, let's meet the trio. Who are they?
Let's start with the first one, which most people would consider the good one. This is Sattva.
Sattva. The text describes it as pure, illuminating, and free from defect.
Yes. Verse 6 says Sattva is stainless. It creates clarity. It removes disease and darkness. When you are in a sattva mode, you feel light, you understand things, you feel peaceful, you feel good.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like the goal. I want to be sattvic all the time. But the text says this is also a trap. How can purity be a trap? That doesn't make any sense to me.
This is the really subtle part. It's so important. The text says Sattva binds the soul through attachment to happiness and attachment to knowledge.
Attachment to happiness.
Yeah. Think about the spiritual ego or the intellectual who is so proud of their own understanding. When you're in Sattva, you feel good. You think, I am wise, I am happy, I am peaceful.
I am better than those frantic, stressed out people over there.
Exactly. And that little phrase, I am, that's the trap. You are enjoying the golden cage. It's a beautiful cage, it's comfortable, it's well lit, but you are still in the cage of the material world. You're still identifying with the experience.
Wow. Okay, so even the good day, even that flow state is a form of bondage if you're attached to it.
Yes. The source notes that the governing deity here is goddess Sri Devi, and she binds the higher beings, the angels or deities, with this golden rope of Sattva. They are happy, but they are stuck in that happiness.
Okay, that's the golden rope. What about the next one? This is Rajas.
Rajas, that's in verse 7. This is the mode of passion. The word Rajas implies dust or coloring. It clouds your vision with desire.
The text says it's born of unlimited desires and longings.
Yes. The defining quality of Rajas is thirst or Trishna. You want something.
Yeah.
And because you want something, you have to act. So Rajas binds the soul through attachment to action.
This is hustle culture, isn't it? This is the entire modern economy in one word.
It is the definition of hustle culture. I need to get that promotion. I need to buy that house. I need to finish this project. It creates this intense, almost frantic drive to do, to achieve, to acquire.
And the trap is that it just never ends.
Never. Because the nature of fire is to burn. You feed it fuel, it just gets bigger. The more you do, the more you feel you need to do. It binds you to the treadmill of karma, of endless action and reaction.
And the governing deity here?
That would be Goddess Bhudevi.
Mm.
This is the energy that primarily binds humans. We are the species of doing. We are obsessed with changing our environment and achieving goals.
That feels very, very accurate. Okay, so we have the golden rope of Sattva, the red rope of passion or Rajas, and then we have the third one, Tamas.
Tamas. Verse 8 calls it the born of ignorance. It is the mode of darkness.
This sounds like the bad guy of the movie.
Well, it's the force of inertia. Its main qualities are delusion, laziness, and sleep.
Negligence is another one mentioned.
Negligence, yes. The trap of Tamas is that it binds the soul through inattention. You just don't care. You numb out. You procrastinate. You know you should do something, but you just can't. You're stuck in the mud.
It's the why bother mode.
Exactly. It was the mental fog. And the governing deity here is Goddess Durga Devi, who, in this specific context, binds the beings in the lower modes, demons, or those completely lost in delusion.
So just to recap the ropes then, Sattva binds you with the thought, I am happy, or I am wise.
Mm-hmm.
Rajas binds you with, I must do this, or I must get that.
Yes.
And Tamas binds you with, I'm too tired, or I'm too confused to even try.
That's a perfect summary. And the scary thing is, these aren't just personality types where, you're one and I'm another. Verse 10 tells us that these three are constantly fighting for control inside every single one of us.
The battle. That was section 3 of our outline, the internal battle for dominance.
Yes. Imagine there are 3 drivers fighting over the steering wheel of your car. Sometimes Sattva manages to kick the other 2 into the back seat. That's your Tuesday morning clarity.
Right.
But then Raja sees a shiny object on the side of the road or gets anxious about a deadline, and it grabs the wheel and floors it. That's your Wednesday panic.
Okay.
And then eventually the engine overheats, the system is exhausted, and Tamas takes the wheel and just drives the car into a ditch to take a nap. That's Thursday.
It's a constant flux. The text says, sometimes Sattva prevails over Rajas and Tamas. sometimes rajas over sattva and tamas. It's never stable.
It is never stable, not as long as you are identifying with them. And this leads to a really practical part of the chapter, the diagnostic check. Verses 11 through 13 basically give you a checklist to see who is driving right now.
I love a good checklist. Let's go through it. How do I know if sattva is driving my car?
Verse 11 says, when the light of knowledge emanates from all the gates of the body.
The gates being our senses, eyes, ears.
Yes, exactly. Your eyes, your ears, your mind. When you are in sattva, your perception is clear. You see things as they actually are. You aren't projecting your fears onto the situation, which is rajas, or just ignoring the facts, which is tamas. You are just present. You feel light.
Okay, and rajas, what's the main symptom there?
Verse 12 gives a whole laundry list. Greed, restlessness, exploring new enterprises.
Undertaking of actions, that one stood out to me.
Right, it's that feeling of, I need to start a new project right now, or I should really learn how to bake sourdough this weekend.
Yeah.
It's the inability to just sit still. If you sit down to meditate and your mind is immediately making a grocery list or planning your retirement, that is the energy of rajas. It's insatiable.
And tamas, how do we spot that one?
Verse 13, non-illumination. It's just mental fog, inactivity, negligence, and interestingly, it also says delusion.
Delusion in what sense? Like, I think I'm Napoleon.
No, not necessarily that extreme. More in the sense of just getting things wrong. Misunderstanding reality in a fundamental way. Thinking that doing nothing is actually a solution to your problems. Or thinking that, I don't know, drinking a bottle of wine will solve everything. That is tamasic thinking. It covers the truth with a heavy blanket.
It covers the truth. You know, hearing this, it makes me look at the concept of burnout so differently.
How so?
We usually think burnout is just from working too hard. But in this framework, it seems like burnout is what happens when you spend way too much time in rajas and then your whole system forcibly crashes you into tamas just to recover.
That is exactly it. It's a pendulum swing. We bounce between rajas and tamas. We work frantically, that's rajas. Then we collapse and binge watch TV for 6 hours, which is tamas.
And then we feel guilty about the binge watching.
So we chug 3 cups of coffee and go right back to rajas. We completely skip over sattva.
We bypass the balance. We bypass the clarity.
We do. We live on the extremes of that pendulum.
So this internal battle isn't just about how we feel today. The text takes it a huge step further in section 4. This actually determines our destiny.
Yes. This is where the philosophy gets very serious. It's not just about moods. It's about momentum. The Gita teaches that the state of mind you are in most often, and very specifically the state of mind you are in when you die, determines where you go next.
The trajectory of the soul.
Correct. Verses 14 and 15 map this out quite clearly.
Okay, let's walk through the destinations. If I die while sattva is dominant in my consciousness.
Verse 14 says you attain the spotless worlds of the knowers of the highest. You go up to higher dimensions, higher planes of existence where wisdom and clarity are just the natural state of things.
Okay, going up is good. What if I die in rajas?
You stay in the middle. Verse 15 says you were born among those attached to action. In other words, you come right back to the human world.
Back to the grind.
Back to the grind. Because that's what your consciousness was fixed on. You wanted to do, to achieve, to manipulate matter. So nature says, okay, here's another body, here's another career path, keep going.
And tamas, I'm almost afraid to ask.
You go down. The text says you are born in deluded wombs. This is traditionally interpreted as being born into animal species or into very dark, ignorant, maybe hellish environments. If you lived your life in a fog of negligence and animalistic instinct, you get a body that matches that consciousness.
That's terrifying, actually.
It is meant to be a wake-up call. It's saying that your consciousness is shaping your reality moment by moment and has consequences far beyond this one life.
There is a verse here, verse 16, that talks about the fruit of these actions. This really stood out to me. It says, the fruit of sattva is purity. The fruit of tamas is ignorance. But the fruit of rajas is pain.
Yes. The Sanskrit word is dukkha, misery, distress, pain.
Why is the fruit of passion pain? We're taught that passion is good. Follow your passion is like the #1 piece of career advice.
In the Gita's context, passion, or rajas, means desire for something you don't have. It is fundamentally a state of lack. I will be happy when I get that car. I will be happy when I get that relationship.
So you're always pushing happiness into the future. It's always one step away.
Exactly. And the gap between where you are and where you want to be is stress. It is anxiety. It is pain. And even if you get the thing, the satisfaction is so fleeting. Then you just want the next thing. So rajas is a recipe for perpetual dissatisfaction.
Wow. So Rajas promises pleasure, but it pays out in pain.
Precisely. And Tamas pays in ignorance. Sattva is the only one that pays in something resembling peace and happiness.
But, and here's the kicker, the big twist. We established earlier that even sattva is a rope. It still binds you.
Correct. Even the golden rope is still a rope.
So if the goal isn't just to be sattvic all the time, what is the goal?
The goal is to escape the game entirely. This brings us to section 5, transcending the Gunas.
Verse 19 and 20. This feels like the core of the chapter.
Verse 19 is the turning point. It's the moment of awakening. The Lord says, when you see that there is no doer other than these Gunas, and you know that which is higher than the Gunas, you attain my nature.
No doer other than the Gunas. That is a mind-bending statement. Does that mean I'm not actually doing anything? My free will is an illusion?
It means the you that you think is acting. Your ego, your mind, your habits, that is just the Gunas interacting with other Gunas. It's machinery.
Okay, let's try an analogy for this because this is deep.
Imagine you were watching a movie. There's a hero, let's call him Sattva. There's a villain, Tamas. And there's a lot of conflict and running around, which is Rajas. You get swept up in the story. You feel happy when the hero wins. You get tense during the fight scenes. You might even cry.
Right, I'm emotionally invested.
But are you actually in the movie? No, you are sitting in the theater. You are the witness. The screen is just light and shadow dancing around.
So the Gunas are the movie playing out on the screen of my mind.
Yes. And the soul, the real you, is the witness sitting in the theater. The problem is, we have forgotten we are in the theater, we've jumped into the screen, and we think we are the character.
We think we are the frantic guy on Wednesday. We think we are the lazy guy on Thursday.
Exactly. We say, I am stressed. No. The Guna of Rajas is vibrating in the mind. You are the one noticing it.
That distinction is so subtle, but it changes everything. If I can say, I notice anxiety is happening, instead of, I am anxious, I have created distance. I've stepped back from the screen.
That distance is the beginning of freedom. Verse 20 says, when you cross these 3 gunas, you are released from birth, death, old age, and sorrow. You become immortal.
I love that, but it sounds very abstract. Just be the witness. How does a person who has actually done this act in the world? I mean, if I become a gunatita, one who has transcended, do I just sit on a rock and stare at the sun? Do I stop working? Do I become a zombie?
That is exactly what Arjuna asks in section 6. In verse 21, he basically says, okay, cool theory, but what are the marks of this person? How do they behave? How do they cross over?
He wants the practical profile, the field guide.
And the answer in verses 22 to 25 is so profound. It's not about stopping action at all. It's about a radical shift in your internal attitude.
Verse 22 describes this emotional neutrality. It says, they do not hate illumination, activity, or delusion when they appear, nor do they crave them when they vanish.
This is the key. When Sattva comes, they don't get attached and say, oh, look at me, I'm so holy and clear. When Tamas comes, they don't beat themselves up and say, I am a failure. They treat internal weather like external weather.
Like watching clouds pass by.
Exactly. If a storm comes, you don't yell at the sky. You just put on a raincoat and wait for it to pass. You know you aren't the storm. The sun is still there behind the clouds.
So the transcended person still feels the Gunas.
Yes, of course. Their body and mind still feel them. The source commentary is really clear on this. They have a body, so the Gunas are still operating. They're still part of nature. But they don't identify with them. They're seated as a neutral observer.
There's that beautiful list of equanimities here. Verse 24, a clod of earth, a stone, and gold are the same to him.
I mean, can you imagine that level of freedom? Gold and dirt. They are just matter. One isn't better just because society has assigned it a higher value.
And praise and blame are the same.
That is the hardest one for most of us. If someone insults you, it usually triggers rajas, which is anger, or tamas, which is depression.
And as someone praises you.
It triggers sattva, that feeling of happiness or pride. The transcended one sees both as just noise, just vibrations. Oh, that person's gunas are vibrating at my gunas. Interesting.
Interesting. That's the superpower, isn't it? To replace judgment with curiosity.
It really is. And there is a nuanced point in the source material here regarding the subtle versus the gross aspects of this.
Yeah, I saw that in the commentary. It mentioned that while they are neutral to worldly things, they might still have a preference when it comes to the divine. That seemed like an important distinction.
It is. It says that regarding the gross effects, like the laziness of tamas or the frantic excitement of rajas, they are neutral. They don't hate them or crave them. But regarding the subtle aspects, specifically knowledge of the Lord, they do crave. the sattvic aspect.
It's not total emptiness or apathy. It's a redirection of focus.
Exactly. It's not about becoming a robot. It's about not being addicted to the material roller coaster so that you can actually focus on something higher, something more real.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. How? How do we actually do this? How do we hack the system?
Yeah.
The text is very specific in section 7.
It is. Verse 26 gives the method. And it might surprise people who think this is just an intellectual exercise or a mindfulness practice.
It's not just about willpower, is it? Just gritting my teeth and trying to be the witness.
No. You cannot think your way out of the mind. You can't use the mind to fix the mind. As they say, the rope cannot untie itself. You need an external force.
So what's the solution?
Verse 26 says, "He who serves me with unswerving devotion, bhakti yoga, he crosses beyond the gunas and fits himself for becoming Brahman."
Devotion. Bhakti yoga.
Connection to the source. The logic is simple but profound. The gunas are the energy of the Lord operating through nature. They are incredibly powerful. You, as an individual ego, are small. You can't beat them in a fistfight.
It's like trying to fight the ocean. You'll lose every time.
Right. But if you hold on to the one who controls the ocean, you're safe. The text says that by anchoring yourself in the Lord, through service, through devotion, through constant focus, you are pulled out of the quicksand of the gunas.
It's so interesting that the solution to this incredibly complex psychological system is surrender.
It is the ultimate paradox of spiritual life. By giving up the idea that I am the controller, you finally gain real control, or rather, you gain freedom from the frantic need to control everything.
And verse 27 closes the loop perfectly. The Lord says, "I am the abode of the eternal Dharma and absolute bliss."
So the journey is from being tossed around by the waves of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas to finding the anchor, to finally realizing you are, and always were, safe on the shore, which is the nature of the divine.
That is a really beautiful and powerful image.
It is the promise of the Gita.
So let's bring this down to earth for our listener who is maybe driving to work or folding laundry right now. We have covered a lot of ground. We have the three drivers, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. We have the internal battle. We have the destiny they create. And we have the exit strategy.
Yes.
What is the one practical takeaway for this week if someone wants to start applying this today?
I would say, become a Guna scientist.
A Guna scientist! I like that.
Yes. Just observe. Don't try to change anything yet. Just watch your day through this lens.
Give me an example. What does that look like?
Okay, you're sitting in a meeting and you feel that overwhelming urge to interrupt someone because you have a better idea. Just pause for a second internally and label it. Ah, that is Raja's rising.
Or you wake up and you just cannot face the gym. You hit snooze for the 5th time.
Ah, there's Tamas trying to keep the body heavy.
And when you have that rare moment of perfect clarity and kindness towards someone.
That is Sattva. And this is the most crucial part. Don't claim it. Don't say, I am so great and clear-headed today. Just say, Sattva is present.
Detach the ego from the mood. Don't take credit for the good days or blame for the bad ones.
Exactly. Stop judging yourself for the weather. You are not the weather. You are the sky.
I love that. You are not the weather. You are the sky.
And if you can do that, even for 5 minutes a day, you start to loosen the knots. You start to see that the ropes aren't as tight as you thought they were. There's space.
It's a powerful framework. It really takes the personal blame out of having a bad day, doesn't it? It's just nature acting on nature.
It creates immense compassion, first for yourself and then for others. When you see someone screaming in traffic, instead of thinking, what a jerk, you can think, wow, Rajas has really hijacked that poor guy's steering wheel.
It completely reframes the interaction.
It changes everything.
Well, this has been, pun absolutely intended, illuminating.
A very sattvic conversation, I hope.
Hopefully. We covered the origin, the profiles, the trap of the good life, the pain of the passionate life,
right,
and the darkness of the ignorant life, and most importantly, the way out, becoming the observer and anchoring to something higher.
The path to becoming Guanatita, the one beyond the Gunas.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've talked a lot about how we're usually just these machines running on these 3 programs, these 3 gunas.
Yes.
So the provocative question is this. If even your good qualities and your bad habits are just machinery running in the background, who are you really when the machine stops?
Yeah, it is the question of a lifetime.
Something to mull over while you watch your Guna meter this week. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious.